At 30,000 feet, the engines screamed, the cockpit alarms blared, and every passenger on Flight 427 from Chicago to Los Angeles froze in terror, until an 11-year-old girl from a tiny Iowa farm town slid into the captain's seat, grabbed the yoke, and whispered, "I got this. If you love your mom and dad, hit that subscribe button right now and show some love to the bravest kid America has ever seen." The Boeing 737-800 cut through the twilight sky like a silver arrow, its twin engines humming the steady heartbeat of a routine transcontinental hop. Captain Mark Harlan, 52, salt and pepper hair tucked under his four-stripe cap, sipped black coffee and swapped fishing stories with First Officer Jenna Reyes, 34, who laughed easily and kept the autopilot trimmed to the decimal. In the cabin, flight attendants glided with beverage carts, the smell of warm pretzels drifting over rows of dozing businessmen, vacationing families, and one wide-eyed girl in 14C clutching a dog-eared paperback titled, "So You Want to Be a Pilot." Her name was Harper Grace Thompson, strawberry blonde ponytail, freckles like cinnamon on cream, and a brain that soaked up aviation the way other kids absorbed TikTok dances. Back in Cedar Falls, Iowa, Harper spent weekends at the county airstrip with her dad, a crop duster who let her log stick time in a beat-up Cessna 172 before she could reach the rudder pedals without a booster seat. She knew flap settings, fuel burn rates, and emergency checklists the way her classmates knew Fortnite skins. At 30,000 feet over the Nebraska plains, the first anomaly was subtle. A faint shudder, like the plane had rolled over an invisible speed bump. Captain Harlan frowned, glanced at the engine instruments, both CFM56S purring at 92% N1. "Turbulence," Jenna asked. "Sky's clear," he muttered, tapping the glass. Then the left engine spooled down with a cough, fire warning light flashing crimson. Harlan's hand shot to the fire handle. "Engine fire. Left side. Shut it down." Jenna flipped the switch, fuel cutoff, hydraulic isolation, the choreography drilled 1,000 times in simulators. The right engine compensated, but the plane yawed left, autopilot disengaging with a shrill chime. Passengers stirred, seatbelt signs clanging on. Harlan's voice stayed calm over the PA. "Folks, minor technical issue. Nothing to worry about." But sweat beaded under his cap. The fire suppressed, the left engine windmilled uselessly. Single-engine operations were textbook, until the right engine began surging, EGT climbing past redline. Jenna's fingers flew across the QRH, the quick reference handbook. "Fuel contamination?" she guessed. Harlan shook his head. "We topped off in Chicago, same trucks as always." Then the master caution exploded into a Christmas tree of amber and red. Hydraulic quantity 0. Flight controls stiffening. The plane banked hard left, nose dropping. Harlan wrestled the yoke, muscles straining. "I've got slop in the cables, maybe aileron jam." Jenna reached for the radio. "Mayday, mayday, Flight 427. Dual engine flameout, hydraulics failing, descending through 29,000. Denver Center's voice crackled back, calm but urgent, 427. Nearest suitable is North Platte, 150 miles, heading 260. In the cabin, oxygen masks dangled like yellow jellyfish. A baby wailed. A man in 3A began hyperventilating. Flight attendant supervisor Carla Mendoza, 20 years on the job, moved aisle to aisle with steel in her spine. Masks on, brace positions if instructed. Harper unbuckled, ignoring the glares, and wormed her way forward against the G-forces. She reached the cockpit door just as Jenna cracked it to shout for a doctor. Harper slipped inside before anyone could stop her. The sight hit her like a punch. Captain Harlan slumped forward, face gray, left hand clutching his chest. Heart attack. Jenna wrestled the yoke one-handed while trying CPR between callouts. "Kid, get back," she barked. Harper's voice cut through the chaos, steady as a metronome. "Ma'am, I can fly it. My dad's a pilot. I have 40 hours dual in a 172. I know the 737 checklists. I study them every night." Jenna's eyes flicked to the altimeter spiraling down, 24,000 and dropping fast. The plane rolled past 30 degrees, wings groaning. No time for debate. Fine. Co-pilot seat. Strap in. Harper's small hands found the yoke, feet barely reaching the rudder pedals even with the booster cushion Jenna kicked over. The plane was a wounded beast, heavy on the left, hydraulic fluid gone, meaning manual reversion, pure muscle and geometry. Harper's first move was instinctive. She trimmed right rudder, eased the yoke to level the wings, and firewalled the remaining throttle to maintain blue line speed. Jenna stared. How do you know VMC? Demoed it last summer in the Cessna, Harper said, scanning the ICAs. Both engines now showed zero oil pressure. Contaminated fuel had to be. She flipped to the dual-engine failure checklist taped inside her paperback. Contraband she'd smuggled aboard. Apu start, she ordered. Jenna hit the switch. The auxiliary power unit whined to life, restoring some electrics. Rat deploy, Harper continued. The ram air turbine dropped into the slipstream, spinning like a silver pinwheel, giving them emergency hydraulics. The cabin lights flickered. Passengers saw the little girl in the right seat through the open cockpit door and panic rippled anew, until they noticed the wings leveling, the nose coming up. Carla sealed the door but whispered through the gap. Whatever she's doing, keep it up. Harper's voice now filled the PA, piped through Jenna's headset. Everyone, this is Harper in the cockpit. We're gonna land at North Platte. Stay calm. Masks on if you need them. We've got this. A Texas oil man in first class started clapping. The applause spread like wildfire. But the twists were just beginning. Denver Center vectored them toward North Platte Regional, runway 17, 8,000 feet of concrete in the middle of nowhere. Harper calculated glide ratio in her head. 737 clean was 17-1. Dirty maybe 12-1. They were 80 miles out, 18,000 feet. Doable barely. Then the radio crackled with a new voice, clipped and military. Civilian aircraft on guard. This is Viper Flight, Nebraska Air National Guard. We have you in sight. Say souls on board. 2 F-16s slid alongside, canopies glinting in the sunset. The lead pilot's voice softened when Harper answered, 150 souls, including one kid pilot. A beat of silence. Then, copy that kid. We'll escort you all the way in. You brief. Harper swallowed. Request visual approach, gear up, flaps 15, no reversers, no brakes till rollout, hydraulics marginal. Roger, runways foamed, emergency crews standing by. 15 miles out, the right engine finally quit with a sigh. Fuel starvation confirmed. Total power loss. Harper's world narrowed to airspeed, altitude, and the tiny runway growing on the horizon. She hand flew the descent, S turning to bleed energy, the F-16s orbiting like guardian angels. Jenna, pale but focused, ran the before-landing checklist aloud. Gear handle down, nothing. No green lights. Manual extension, Harper said. Jenna yanked the alternate gear lever. A clunk, then 3 greens. Flaps 15 on emergency electrics. The threshold rushed up. Harper flared at 50 feet. Mains kissing pavement with a chirp that belied the 120-ton beast. No thrust reversers, no anti-skid. She rode the brakes gently, standing on them only past midfield. The 737 rolled to a stop 200 feet from the end. Emergency slides blooming like white flowers. Silence. Then cheers erupted inside and out. Firefighters swarmed, but the plane was intact. Paramedics carried Captain Harlan out on a stretcher. Pulse thready but present. Jenna unstrapped with shaking hands and hugged Harper so hard the girl's headset popped off. Outside, the F-16s did a victory roll before peeling away into the dusk. The second twist came an hour later, under floodlights on the tarmac. An FAA inspector named Delgado arrived with a fuel truck driver in cuffs. The tanker that serviced Flight 427 in Chicago had been sabotaged. Sugar in the tanks, enough to clog filters mid-flight. Security footage showed a disgruntled ramp agent with gambling debts paid by an unknown party. The attack was meant to ground the plane over Lake Michigan. Insurance fraud on a grand scale. Harper's quick engine shutdowns had saved them from total flameout at cruise. The third twist. The paperback in Harper's lap wasn't just study material. Tucked inside was a flash drive her dad had given her for emergencies. On it, satellite uplink codes he'd used for crop dusting contracts with a defense subcontractor. Harper had activated the codes mid-flight, giving Viper flight real-time telemetry the civilian transponder couldn't. She turned a commercial airliner into a military asset without clearance. The Pentagon wanted to debrief her. The FAA wanted to ground her for life. Instead, the president called. From a secure line in North Platte's tiny terminal, Harper heard a familiar drawl. "Young lady, you just rewrote the book on cool under pressure. America owes you." She asked if her dad could get a new Cessna. Laughter on the line. "We'll do better than that." Weeks later, the inquiry cleared her. The sugar sabotage ring was busted wide open. 3 arrests in Chicago, 1 in Vegas. Captain Harlan recovered, pinning his own wings on Harper's denim jacket during a ceremony at O'Hare. The FAA granted her a special student certificate. United offered a full-ride scholarship to their aviation academy the day she turned 16. Harper returned to Iowa a hero, but the small town felt smaller. Camera crews camped on her lawn. She missed the quiet hum of cornfields under a Super Cubs prop. The final twist came on a crisp October morning. A black SUV rolled up the gravel drive. Out stepped Jenna Reyes, no longer in uniform. "Kid, the airline's retiring 427. They're scrapping her." But I pulled strings. She led Harper to the barn where the fuselage section, cockpit intact, sat under tarps. "Your new simulator, courtesy of the crew fund." Inside, the yoke still smelled of jet fuel and adrenaline. Harper ran her fingers over the dents her own grip had left. Jenna handed her a folder. "Also, your dad's new ride." Parked behind the barn. A gleaming Cirrus SR-22, parachute included. On the tail, call letters N11HG. That night, Harper flew solo for the first time since the incident, sunset gilding the Mississippi bluffs. She leveled at 3,000 feet, trimmed hands off, and let the autopilot of memory take over. Below, combines traced golden spirals in the fields. She clicked the mic. "Cedar Falls traffic, Cirrus 11 Hotel Golf. Maneuvering overhead. Any traffic please advise." Silence, then a crackle. Her dad's voice from the farmhouse radio. "Clear skies, Captain. Bring her home safe." Harper smiled, banked gently toward the glowing grid of porch lights, and whispered to the empty cockpit, "Copy that." Years later, Captain Harper Thompson would command 787s across oceans, but she kept one ritual. Every flight before pushback, she touched the tiny dent in the yoke, the mark of an 11-year-old who refused to let the sky fall. And somewhere, in a North Platte hangar, the old 737 cockpit gathered dust, waiting for school tours, a silent monument to the day a farm girl rewrote aviation history with freckles, faith, and 40 hours in a grass-strip Cessna. Now tell me in the comments, from what part of this great country are you watching? Drop your state, your town, and let Harper know the heartland's still cheering.